Hi, I'm Jeffrey, I'm a licensed therapist, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll go over the top 5 early signs of psychopathy. First, I will go over the definition of psychopathy. Secondly, I will share the typical behavior of a person with psychopathy. And lastly, I will share the top 5 early signs that someone is developing psychopathy. Let's get into it. Disclaimer. Please don't use this video for diagnosing purposes. Please seek out a licensed clinician for a full evaluation. Psychopathy is a mental disorder in which a person displays deficient emotional responses. They lack the ability to empathize with others. They exhibit poor behavioral control and persistent antisocial deviance and delinquent behavior. That's the definition. For diagnosing purposes, clinicians will use the Hare Assessment Test. This test assesses an individual for 20 different psychopathy-related traits. If enough traits are met, then a person is given the diagnosis of psychopathy. So, how does a person with psychopathy act? What are their personality traits? A person with psychopathy tends to be extremely self-centered. They simply care about meeting their own needs at the expense of everyone else. Therefore, they lack the ability for empathy. Because of their complete self-centeredness, they lack the ability to make any meaningful connections. They can also be really charismatic, but only if it benefits them. They tend to be very manipulative, meaning that they use several tactics to be able to get their needs met, even if it means hurting others. They tend to be constantly bored, and they need an extreme stimulation in order to no longer feel bored. They lack any remorse and have little to no ability to be able to accept responsibility for their own actions. They also tend to be very impulsive, and this is because they're trying to get their immediate needs met without thinking of the long-term consequences. Lastly, a person with psychopathy tends to believe that they're above the rules and law. Therefore, they disregard rules, they constantly break them, which causes them to engage in delinquent behavior. So, what are the top 5 signs that someone is developing psychopathy? The first early sign is someone who is constantly lying. Essentially, someone who gets into the habit of lying. Their lying could be to get out of trouble, but it's especially troublesome when the lying is to purposefully get a reaction from the other person. This would indicate that the person is bored and they are seeking stimulation through lying and stirring up drama in order to get a reaction. Everybody lies from time to time, but it's the nature of the lie and the frequency that matters. The second early sign that someone is developing psychopathy is displaying consistent behavior that violates social norms. An example would be someone who steals from a convenience store because they feel entitled to that item. Another example would be somebody who is going super fast on the highway because they believe that the speed limit does not apply to them. The third early sign is someone who's consistently cheating when playing games. If someone is playing a sport, a board game, and they consistently cheat, that's an early sign of psychopathy. This is because all they care about is winning, regardless of their tactics, and it doesn't matter to them whether they're hurting others in the process or not. The fourth early sign would be bullying others. A child or adolescent who intentionally goes out of their way to physically or emotionally hurt someone else is displaying an early sign of psychopathy. This would again show lack of empathy, and perhaps the person that's committing the bullying is doing the act because they're seeking stimulation because they're bored. The fifth early sign, and in my opinion the most important sign to identify whether someone is going to be developing psychopathy, is purposefully hurting animals. If you see a child who is gaining pleasure from torturing animals, that is a big indicator that this child is at a very high risk of developing psychopathy, especially if the animal is a domesticated animal. I want to be clear, this doesn't mean purposefully teasing the dog. It means purposefully and intentionally hurting the animal. And not only hurting the animal, but gaining pleasure from their pain. These are the top 5 early signs of psychopathy. Let me know your thoughts down below. That's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And for more content like this, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Thank you, and see you in the next one.